Hello, sisters. Is today the day I should stream from my bed? I kind of feel like yes. Aside from the fact that there's like definitely a garbage bag right beside my bed. I'm trying to think of like the angle of the camera. Okay, let me move like one thing and then we're gonna stream from my bed. Just imagine you guys on the other side of the camera being like, what the fuck is she hiding from us? It's literally like unsanitary things. Ow, fucking. Ugh. It's kind of good timing though. I'll move this stuff around a bit. You can do a pillow talk like that lesbian couple does. Hide your toys. Oh yeah, you know me. That shit is all over the place. I definitely have a cause to use that shit all the time. What is this? Can this be here? I'm just trying to think of things that you could use to either dox me or get my channel banned. I think I have removed all the things that are potential problems. Where should I put this? How about here? Okay. What do we need? This is coming with us. This is coming with us. What page are we on? 94. I will leave this unplugged for a moment. Okay. Are we good? Hopefully this way you guys will have more Momo also. Wow, how come there's only 3 of you? Is it confusing when I do this with the streams? I feel like if I put in the live chat, you know, like see you in a sec on the next stream, it's pretty fucking obvious what you're supposed to do. I don't know. Well, the lighting's not perfect, but whatever. Maybe instead of doing, I still haven't done, what was it? A Benji's Matchbox, like the condensed version of the Benji's soapbox. I still haven't done that. Maybe I should like rethink the concept and be like Benji's pillow talk. Okay. I mean, should I get a pillow? It's like it's there. It's not really much purpose to have it next to me. Okay. Oh, Jane Mary says it take a minute to load. That makes sense. Hello, Michelle. Get comfy, Benji. Okay, well, you know I'm comfy. However, this will definitely not be like a 6-hour stream. Okay. The lighting here isn't great, but that's because I put all the lighting in that corner because of that's where I usually stream. Okay. So, what did you guys think of the essay? It's pretty decent. Excuse me. So to me, again, this builds upon the concepts that she has obviously previously explained to us, which I appreciate. Also, to me, this essay felt like it was the most like philosophical. You know what I mean? Like, not that the other ones were not, but this one really felt like it would be something that you would be given in a philosophy class to be like, here's an example of this. The stuff before was kind of her using philosophy to explain feminist concepts. I don't know if I'm like diminishing her work in some way or whatever, but I don't know. That's generally what I just felt like, wow, this is the most like, I don't know. I'm excited for the next essay. I think, yeah, the next essay is called Some reflections on separatism and power. So that should be cool. Um, okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, which I have said I'm going to do like 3 times now, and I never actually do, is I am going to read and respond to the comments from the last stream. I'm going to do it so that I'm not even looking at this page. Because as soon as I do that, I will start replying to this current live chat and I will forget about the other live chat. So I'm going to fucking ignore you for a second and reply to your previous comments. Okay. First of all, as usual, thank you to all of the ladies who showed up. Should I use the word ladies? Whatever. Thanks to all the guys. Um, very flattered. We had a lot more viewership in today's um to this evening's essay. I'm not sure why. So somebody names Chris asked what does GNC stand for? Well, I mean this is why you tune into live streams, isn't it? So that you get all kinds of unfettered information. Is unfettered even the right word? Wow, I'm tired. Okay. Um so okay. Literally, I should have probably picked a new name when I made my YouTube channel, but at that point, I was like, "But you've built a brand on Tumblr and Twitter. You need to like, keep building your brand." It was so stupid. I should have picked a new name. So basically, my first radfem Tumblr stuff was called "Fuck Your Gender ID," and this was when I was still trans identifying because my point was that like gender identity doesn't matter and doesn't do anything, and you're stupid if you think it does. Then I decided that the name was so inflammatory that it was actually preventing me from being able to have any real discussions, and that was pissing me off. So then I changed the name to gynocentric or something like that. But then I was in my nice femme phase, so I was like, but it's not just about the gynes, it's about all the gender nonconforming homos, and we're like, we need to protect all of the gender nonconforming homos. Um, yeah, so I guess I was in my scrot pandering phase. But I mean, really, I was thinking about like I've had like a handful of like loose friendships with like a gay boy who was kicked out and did street work, or like detransitioned gay boys and stuff. I've had a handful of those types of friendships. So I was kind of like, whatever. Um yeah, so it's just GNC, gender nonconforming. That's usually when you see in radfem or gender critical spaces people using the term GNC, or even in TRA places spaces. It didn't used to be like that common, but in the last couple of years, they've made it part of like the trans umbrella. So now you see it all the time and it's conflated with non-binary or agender or whatever, the silly genders. Anyway, yeah, so it meant gender non-conforming. But a couple years ago, I think it was Rachel who was in the live chat yesterday. I think she's the first person I heard this from. Unless I'm confusing her with Grace. No, it was Rachel. Yeah. Rachel was the first person to use for that I heard the term gender non-compliant from. And that's how if people ask me now, what does GNC centric stand for? I'll tell them it's gender non-compliant centric. So to me, that means like, it's like the act of not fulfilling socialization or stereotypes or social expectations. So it's like, it's like an intentional rebellion against gender norms. Um, and I kind of fucking love that. Because, like one of the aspects of radical feminism is being gender critical, and I'm obviously like, the term I would use is gender apostate or gender apostate, whatever, wherever you're from and you like, wherever you like the emphasis. um so yeah, I would use the term. I would say, if somebody asked me now, I would say uh gender non-compliant centric, and that it's a reflection of my political stance. But yeah, so now you know the etiology of my name. Okay. um Oh, DK was here and then she went to sleep. Well, hope she's having a good sleep. Dragon said Benji's hair is rocking. Even the bed head this morning was kind of Magdalene Burns like. Oh my god. Who the fuck do you think you are comparing me to Magdalene Burns? How am I supposed to carry on with my life after that? Um Oh, Uta was here. I don't know if she's still here. If you're still here, Uta, hello. Uta said, I grew up not allowed to express anger. I am proud to say I have forgiven my mother, child of the 20s, for this. Yeah, I think that's really important to to not allow the intergenerational trauma passed along female lines to have more power over you than it needs to. Um, if it's within your control to let go of your anger towards your mother and you are okay with that and want to do that, I think that's a good thing to do. I have a lot of issues with my mother, resentments towards her, and I know what I'm saying, and I know that it depends on what stage of your life you're in and what mindset you're in and all these kind of things, and that it might really, really piss you off because people used to say this to me. I remember the first therapist who told me this, well, the only therapist I ever had. I remember my first therapist, she tried to tell me this, and I literally was like, "I wanna punch you, don't say this to me." But, like, holding on to anger for people who are important to you and are, like, a constant part of your life, like, I don't really talk to my mother, but you know, she is like a huge part of my life. If there's only a handful of people in my life that I've spent that amount of time with, right? And just holding on to anger for someone like that is not productive. And I think it contributes to the resentment that breeds or enables like the passing on of intergenerational female trauma. Anyway, that's really great to hear, Uta. I'm happy for you. Um, J. Marie says, I watched Old Guard on Netflix last night. It was pretty good if you're not averse to violence and action movies. I think it was also pretty good. Um, I don't feel like it over sexualized, what's her name? Charlize Theron. Um, and even though I would obviously have preferred if they were lesbians, but the two gay guys, how they're like, 5,000 years old and they met like in ancient times and have been together forever just because it's like, romantic or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I liked Old Guard. It's pretty decent. Um, some crap about boys. Pfft, well, I'm not talking about that in this stream. That's what soapboxing is for. Um, Uta said, "Women's natural anger has been characterized as hysteria since forever." And very much agreed. Aw, Uta is like, "I love finding you all on here again. Thank you, my dear Benji. I am not lonely because of you all." Oh, I'm so glad. That's really what I want is for you guys to feel like you have some kind of community and to like, expand your thinking and stuff. Um, oh, everyone was like, "Momo, I love your kitty." Yeah, so I tried, um, to, like, put her in the frame, and then obviously, of course, because she's a cat, as soon as she was in the frame, she was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go and sit right in front of your dirty laundry and this garbage bag that is randomly in your bedroom." And I was like, "I'm not turning my camera in that direction." So and now she is sitting, like, at my feet, so you're not seeing her. Okay. Ucha said she wants a video tour of my house. Maybe. Maybe. I could do a video tour of the house. Maybe I could do it, like, for, like, a live chat that doesn't stay up. I mean, a live stream. And then Lito's like, "Yeah, of course." Momo walks out of frame, ES is like, "We have intruded on her privacy." And of course, VM's like, "We watch for Momo." That should be like I should rename, like, every all of the, like, graphics associated with my brand now. Like, as you have noticed, I have just redone them, like, last week, and I think they're very nice. Um, I should redo them all, and they should just be, like, Momo's face, and they should just say, like, "We watch for Momo." And, like, my profile picture should just be Momo's face. And people will think it's, like, a cat-themed channel. Okay. In a way, it is, because lesbianism. Anyway. Okay. Uta's like, "Benji would make big bucks with Momo TV." Aisha said, "I need to come back and listen from the beginning. This resonates so strongly." Yes. Um, the oppression essay, I obviously understood it. It was very clear. Like I said, I like how she describes things in like philosophical language, and then she gives you like very easy to understand examples that really like pin it down in your mind. I like that. Um, but yeah, what are the essay we read recently? This one I found very really resonated with me. The phallism one, it was impactful, but I didn't feel very like, oh my god, like wow, like I think the problem that has no name. I think the last three essays really, the problem that has no name, in and out of harm's way, and a note on anger, because each of them, like, to me, what I like about philosophy is when I read something, like, what is it? The problem of evil. I figured that out when I was like 6 years old in church. I was like, but you told us that the devil is like kind of all powerful and like God is all powerful. So, like, couldn't the devil be tricking us? And the pastor was like, I'm not equipped to discuss this with you or something. Or he was, no, he was like, that's what faith is for, or some bullshit. And I was like, what? But my faith could be in the devil, and you're telling me to just believe anyway. Anyway, I love in philosophy when you read about something and you're like, "Oh my god, I've always thought like a part of that or like an aspect of that." And now like it all becomes clear and I understand how this all connects and how this is relevant to like society and life and people, or like the history of it, or the like. I fucking love that shit. And the last three essays I felt so like that it's like she's putting words to things I didn't know that I was trying to put words to, or even things I did know but I didn't have such an expansive view of it. I really and clear view of it. I really love that. um oh my god, Aisha, are you my clone? What is this? Aisha says, I always have no problem accessing anger on behalf of others, but not for myself. I am exactly the same way. And like, I always thought that it was a product of like the social dynamic of my childhood home, which was definitely not male dominated. Um yeah, but after reading this essay, I feel like it is a product of my upbringing and of society. And it's like, okay, now I'm having thoughts. So like, okay. You know how like, okay. So I saw the counselor at my university 3 times when I was there. Um because I was like having a breakdown and I was like, I can't attend class. And she was like, great, I'll see you in 3 weeks. And then I dropped out. Like, thanks. Anyway. Um, and in one of my early uh sessions with her, she said, well, it was only 3. They're all early sessions. She basically was like, your problem is that you have been so motivated by fear. No, wait, that's not what I'm talking about. What am I talking about? Anger on behalf of others. This is what I'm talking about. You have always felt like the things that go wrong are your responsibility because you were put in that position from a young age, that like if you didn't want bad things to happen, you knew that you had the capacity to change it so that the bad things don't happen, so that the bad consequences, you're not facing them. And she said, so now you have put it's in your head that when bad things happen, you are somehow responsible, because if you didn't want that to happen, you could do something about it. But like, this is female socialization, isn't it? Because this is what she posited in the last essay. It was, oh my god, that was only this morning. Okay, let's go. Oh, here. Okay, the arrogant eye, the the loving eye. It wasn't. It was the beloved, right? Or was it that? But she basically was like, when bad things happen in a man's domain, the man obviously is like, I'm not responsible for that. The bad things happen because like the woman, and the even though you are removed from having agency, you are given the responsibility that doesn't align with your agency. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I don't know if what I'm saying makes a lot of sense, but basically what I'm saying is I see a lot of parallels. I mean, especially from the last chapter. For those of you who weren't here this morning, she basically went through the 3 steps that it that sex traffickers and pimps use to break women. And so she explained that, and then she was like, "Look at society. Look, this is how the women act." Um, and so I would make a similar parallel in that I felt responsible for bad things that happened around me because I knew that like I would face consequences for them even if they weren't actually within my power to do anything about. And I think a lot of women feel that way and have that mindset. And it's not based on nothing. Um anyway, I feel like I've lost track of things, but I don't know. Okay. Let's keep going. I'm bad at being angry on behalf of myself. Michelle's like Benji's voice is soothing, so hope you listen to the sound rather than the topic and do not all. Yeah. Should I read like is there like lesbian lullaby not lullabies like fairy tales? Oh my god. Is there like a Brothers Grimm or whatever, but like a Bechdel test version? Is there like Bechdel test passing holy fuck. Somebody write that shit and send it to me and I will narrate it like professionally and we can put it on the internet for the lesbians. Okay. Okay. I responded to the things. Now I will respond to the other things and then I will go through the essay. Okay. Mary says women can only be angry on others' behalf, not their own. And not even just others. Others who are who it is expected that they should be angry on behalf of. And who are these people? The people who need caretaking. Children, the old, the ill, the unborn. These are the people who fall under the domain of should be protected and taken care of by women. Um, or even just any male in your family because women are supposed to do emotional labor for men. So if like you know your neighbor has a teenage boy and your neighbor has a teenage daughter who dates your son breaks her heart and fucks her over, but your son obviously is depressed because he went through a breakup. The mom is supposed to empathize with him and take care of him and blah 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 and support him. And like why? Just because he's like a male in proximity to her? Like let him deal with his own feelings. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, she's allowed to be angry on his behalf. Um Michelle says VF is really disconcerting how many TRAs in GC clothing are being unmasked. Like I said, I don't want to get into this, but who the fuck was it? Some big GC on Twitter was saying around the time the Expel Artie Morty stuff was happening, I think maybe a week after that, like she told someone I trust that someone we all know is going to be unmasked as a TRA in the near future. And now I think back on that and I'm like, they're all the TRAs. Like it wasn't one person. Okay. Um VF said your hair sort of looks like feathers. Yeah. Um I have been blow drying it recently just because I haven't had long hair in so long that feeling like the wet, cold hair. Well, also, we don't really turn on the heat in my house much. Like, I crank the heat in my room, but we don't really turn on the heat in the house. So, I usually have been blow drying it, and then today I didn't have time, and it just looks like this. More fluffy and feathery than when I blow dry it. I didn't think that's how it was supposed to work. But to be fair, I haven't blow dried my hair ever before now, so. Also, I thought it's supposed to take the color out, but the color is staying, like, really well this time. I switched conditioners, and I've been blow drying my hair, like, probably every other time I wash my hair. So maybe the heat is actually keeping the color in. I don't know. Maybe I'm being confused about using hot water to wash your hair and heat with blow dryer. I don't know, whatever. Okay. A bird killed me says Magdalene had the best hair. She really did. Oh, Lita's here. Hello. Okay, I'm not going to start naming people because then I'll have to name like 30 women. But hello, or 15, 16 of you. But hello, women. Okay. Um, Michelle says, yeah, it's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. With regard to like the VF says, stop the forgiveness nonsense. I mean, I don't know. I think the concept of like forgiveness is very complex and like saying that the person has no like responsibility or that what they did is okay, that's not okay. But just like don't feed your resentment for your mother because that affects the way you see other women, I think, and yourself. Like I look back at a lot of the actions I took in my teenage years and like a lot of it was at with anger at my mother and resentment for my mother and not wanting to become my mother and blah 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 things about my mother. And I'm like, if I didn't have so many strong negative feelings about her, would I have thought the way I thought or done the things I did? Jesus Christ. Um, I don't know. I'm just saying. You don't need to like no, but VF is like you need to use it to poison the person you're mad at, not drink it. No, I know, but do you really think that like fucking over your mother will somehow bring you like peace of mind or prevent you or like heal the psychic wounds that fuel your internalized misogyny or whatever? Like I don't think so. Um bathe in the blood after. That's happiness. Well, when it comes to a man, probably. Okay. Um uh oh no, it popped down. Why did it do that? Is Anung Ikwe here? Oh, I thought I saw the little blue thing. Oh no, that's Mary's. Okay. Dr. Bean says, I think a lot of people have resentment towards their parents. Disrespected at my dad. Mine is directed at my dad and stepdad. It is not worth allowing it to overtake your life. Yeah. I think I did that a lot as a teenager because I felt self righteous about it. And it's like my anger was righteous. I have very good reasons to be angry at my parents, but like, I don't know. It's just like a lot of energy, honestly. Oh, I went back up. Lita says the graphics are nice. Thank you. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just started fucking around because I felt like my header, the one where it was like, I thought the girl I used to be was dead, but she's here now and I can protect her. That was just some random quote I found on Tumblr, and like it was just a graphic, which I turned into my own header, and I kept trying to source the quote because I felt like it was weird to quote something without sourcing it. But I could never find the source. And then also like that header was very sketch. I made that header in Photoshop and I did it by like I uploaded it and it was the wrong size. And then even though Photoshop you can like adjust the exact pixel size, I went back into Photoshop and kept like cutting it smaller and uploading it and like seeing how big it was and like cutting I don't know what the fuck I was doing. But basically I was like this needs to be replaced because it's like very outdated and I realized that when I didn't have a thumbnail for live streams before I started the stream that would automatically become and it was like people kept thinking it was like the topic of the stream or something and I was like no that's just like my header anyway. I think this one is better. And so I made this one and then I was like oh I should make sure that my profile picture on everything is the same. Um because like I didn't like the profile picture I had for YouTube. I only put it there cuz My first I think it was my first interview with Benjamin Boyce, or maybe my second. I'm pretty sure it was my first, where he was kind of teasing me and being like, "People are gonna think you're, like, a troll or something because you don't have, like, a real picture," and I was like, "Oh, yeah," but I was like, I couldn't figure out how to change it, so I finally figured out how to change it. I think it's much easier to change now. Like, the way I did it the other day was very easy, but anyway, so I changed it, and then I was like, "Oh, I should change all of them," but then I was like, "They should be, like, matching." I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah, okay, let's keep going. VF is like be your own BFF. I think what you're talking about, VF, is like you need to be the person who's always on your own side and stuff. To me, what's helped is like those visualization exercises of like where you imagine yourself as a child in the position that you're in and that you're like helping yourself. And like, I know it sounds kind of tacky or that's not the right word. I don't know. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I don't know. Doing that for a couple years has really helped me to not shit all over myself all the time. And to like be on my own side and prioritize myself more. Aisha says years of forced teaming and socialization to prioritize others' needs above my own really ingrained that in me. I'm trying to undo it, but it gets sloppy. No, and also, not only does it become messy, this kind of thing, when you've been conditioned in like specific, obviously, there's specific stuff that you've been formed to think that way or act that way by like significant life experiences, right? So, obviously, it can be kind of unmessy to undo it, kind of messy to undo it. But I think also it takes a lot of time. Like, I think women really need to have patience with themselves, like, really a lot of patience. Like, don't give up and stop working on it. Just accept that this is going to take a long time, kind of thing. Yeah. Um. Oh, Bean Sprout said, that was Dr. Jane Harris that said that thing about unmasking TRAs. Thank you. Okay, you guys are talking about Grace Lavery, aka Mr. Collins, according to Aisha. Uh, okay, I've caught up with the live chat. Let's go through the essay. Okay. Um, Also, I kind of don't want to like stream for 10,000 years. Um, I think I've reached that point now where I really need to like really be intentional with how much I'm streaming because I don't want to burn out. Um, I think like maybe 90 minutes max for my post reading discussions is like a good rule of thumb. And also my Benji soapboxes. Those are all, I think, in my mind, what I've generally decided is Benji soapboxes get to be their own thing, that they can kind of have their own rules, but I don't think doing it beyond 3 hours is like wise. Like, yeah. Um, the readings themselves are like relaxing and chill. Like, sometimes when I'm reading, I'm like, well, this is kind of easy. Maybe I can just read the next chapter. Maybe that's what I'll do tonight. I don't know. Because reading is not like the same as like live streaming. Like, I know it's a live stream, but it's not the same as like sitting here and coming up with my own thoughts and rambling for 10,000 years. 95 to 110. So the next essay is the same length. Actually, put yourself first, Benji. Like we were just fucking discussing. Okay, but no, let's see. How long was this one? This one was 23 minutes. So if I read the next essay, it'll probably be about 20 minutes. Okay. Well, maybe what I'll do then is that we will keep this very concise and we're going to go through the essay and give you my thoughts and maybe I'll do another one. Um, Mary says, "Yeah, I wanted to read this, but I have no attention span to read it." When did you want to read this? Like when I brought it up, or like this is a book that you wanted to read already before? Because um, I have ADHD, so I am blessed with this thing called hyperfocus. And the result of hyperfocus is that I can like sit down and read a book for like 14 hours and only stop, well, not even stop. I can get out of bed and pee while I'm reading. um, but when it comes to nonfiction, I really have trouble getting into it and going, you know? Um, so yeah, that's why I kind of like originally for those of you who've been around, um, Aisha says, "I'm so envious I can't do that anymore." I'm sure that it's a matter of time until I can't do that anymore. Although, I don't know. It's kind of like one of my fundamental things about it's like my ADHD. What is the word for that thing? Okay, I'm going to describe a thing. Um, kind of like someone on Adderall. I've been off my ADHD meds for how old am I? For 5 years almost. Which is fucking great because they made me very depressed. Um, and when I was on ADHD meds, I couldn't no, I haven't described the thing yet. Sorry, I got sidetracked. When I was on ADHD meds, I actually couldn't really go into hyperfocus. Um, I'm about to describe the thing now. The thing is, when you have like a kind of hobby, but it's not really a hobby, it's almost like an obsession, like it's a hobby bordering on an obsession, and you'll be like really into that for like a few months or like a year or something, and then you'll like be completely done with it. You've lost all interest and you're on a new thing. Apparently, this is an ADHD thing, which I didn't know, which is like when I found that out, I was like, oh, because I've been doing that shit my whole fucking life. You know, like I become obsessed with something to the point where it's like the only thing I do for like months outside of school or work or whatever. And then literally one day it's almost like you know if you ever drink like 2 liters of Coke at once and you're like if somebody puts Coke in front of me I'm going to start puking, then it feels like that. I don't know. Hyperfixation. Thank you Looney 28. You mean mania? No, no. Not to like I don't sleep, but my reading was like that. I would go through like phases of a few months at a time where like watching TV seemed boring, doing arts and crafts seemed boring, going for a walk seemed boring. The only thing that was exciting was reading books. And then I was kind of like, if I have to read another book, I want to punch someone. Now all I can think about is origami, and then I would do that for like 6 months or whatever. Yeah. Dr. Bean says yes, that is an ADHD thing. Also happens with food, having a fave food, eating it all the time, and then not liking it at all. Like a compulsion, asks Mary. Not like a compulsion, but I don't know. It's just like an ADHD brain thing. I don't know. And before anybody starts being like ADHD diagnosis, blah blah blah, like I have been like triple diagnosed with this. Like I'm on disability and stuff. Um, I'm currently obsessed with iced chais. Add vanilla, not the same amount of vanilla as the chai because that's too much, like half as much. And with oat milk, like obsessed, obsessed. Like anytime I drive past a Starbucks, I'm like, I need to get my oat milk chai. And I'm 100% sure that within a few months, I will be like, I can never drink a chai again. Keep that shit away from me. Although maybe it'll become like Coke and it'll become something I'm obsessed with. I'd have gone through phases of the Coke because what happened was when I first moved to university, I had no parents. I grew up in a household where you weren't really like we weren't allowed to have pop in the house or like Nutella in the house or anything like that unless it was like a special occasion, like a birthday party or something. Um, and so when I moved to university, well, first of all, when I moved to university, my grandmother bought me 2 cases of like the Costco 42 can um, cases of Coke, and I drank like all 84 cans of Coke in like a month or something. And then I started buying cases of Coke, which also was like a whole thing because I didn't have a car and the grocery store was far, so I had to like take a cab. And I was drinking like more than 2 liters of Coke every day. And I quickly gained a lot of weight and I was really, really tired. And I have like a chronic pain thing. And it got like really bad because like chemicals and shit. Um, yeah. I actually used to joke with my friends at university that I was a coke head, but I meant like Coca-Cola, and it was funny because like I never like I don't do drugs. So, uh yeah, I don't know. So then there was like a few months where I couldn't fucking drink coke. Now I do, but like in moderation most of the time. Yeah. Ugh, J. Marie, how could you drink Mountain Dew? That shit is disgusting. Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper are the most repulsive pops of all time. Although Mugs is really pretty up there. Like, if you're gonna be a root beer, be a fucking root beer. Don't be some kind of gross sugar bullshit. Um, and be a Bean Spread is like, and sometimes, oops, where'd it go? Nope. Less of a compulsion and more of a I'm super interested in this thing and I love it so much that this is my life, and then bam, I'm bored and never want to look at it again. Yeah, that's it basically. It's not related to a manic episode because you can and will jump from one interest onto another and so forth. Sometimes you have no interest in anything and just get really bored. Oh my god. So any of you guys watched Sherlock, the BBC show from like 2012 or whatever? Um there's like a scene where he has like it seems like in like right before the scene started, he spray painted a smiley face on the wall, I think. And then in the scene, he starts shooting holes in the wall. And Watson comes in and is like, "Sherlock, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm bored." And when I saw that, I was like, "What a feel, bro." Because I have gone through that where it's like that used to happen to me where I'm like very, very obsessive about TV. Like I go through phases. Like so many times, I'll be like, I'm trying to think of like a specific show that I can think of that I can give you as a demonstration. Well, I can't think of any specific shows right now, but there's definitely times where I will sit down and watch like 5 seasons of a TV show in 2 weeks, and people are like, first of all, how? But also, um, what was my fucking point? Oh yeah, I would watch like so much TV and just like I don't know if for you guys who've been around a while, remember how I would like I'm like with novels that I will like start reading about like historical romance set on pirate ships, and then I will be like, now I need to read historical romance that's like set in the navy and like go through these like very specific phases. I'm like that with TV too. And then it'll become like I can't find the exact perfect specific thing that is interesting to me at the moment. And then it's like everything is boredom and agony. um Looney said, my ADHD is like yours, Benji. You have a strong H in your ADHD. Yeah. Like my mom, I remember when I first got diagnosed when I was like 6 or whatever, my mom was like, well, maybe she has ADD. And the guy was like, no, this is very hyperactive. But it was just because she was comparing me to like her friend's kid who was like, first of all, a boy, but also the kind of like ADHD where it's like they're constantly screaming and running around. And I was never like that. I was like the very talkative, very interested ADHD, not so much like screaming and throwing things. Um, a possible person. Thank you very much for your $20. A possible person says that is the first one I've caught live all week. You've been doing a lot of work. I'm just be quietly 40 minutes behind. Okay. Um um well, I guess that she's not listening right now, so I can't tell her to just, come here and then go back later, but whatever. Um okay. VF said that stuff causes cancer for sure, man. J Marie says VF is okay. Okay, VF mentioned coffee, and so I'm now going to tell you my coffee origin story. I have like a major sweet tooth. I can't really drink coffee also, so whatever the fuck I said about how this stream needs to be short, I literally haven't even started speaking about the essay and we've been here for 45 minutes. So who fucking cares? Whatever. Um I didn't really start drinking coffee until I was in my second year of university. And I used to be a barista like when I was 18. So when I finally decided I'm going to start drinking coffee, my first thought was I need a lot of caffeine. So what did I do? I went to like the my university was so small. Like the student union pub and the coffee shop were the same thing. And that was like the only place to eat other than the cafeteria on the whole campus. So I went there and I was like, give me a red eye. For those of you who don't know, that's like a cup of coffee with a shot of espresso in it. Those both of those things are like acidic and bitter on their own. And when you add them together, it's like 10 billion times worse in my opinion. Um and I didn't get any like cream or sugar and I literally couldn't drink. Okay. So then I was like, okay, I need caffeine because, university. And then I would get like iced lattes because first of all, ice makes the caffeine smoother. But then I would always get like iced lattes with like double sugar, so like double the vanilla or whatever. And so I think as a result, what I consume, like even this is a great example. How much fucking sugar is in this? I think what I consume always has a lot of sugar. Um, but I have bargained with myself that even if what I'm drinking, like my iced coffees from Tim's are always double sweetened, that even if what I'm drinking has a lot of sugar, it probably doesn't have all of the horrifically caustic chemicals that Coca-Cola has. You know? Like I have drank enough Coke to the point where it feels like my stomach is melting. And I have never felt that from an iced latte or an iced coffee. So to me, seems plausible that that's healthier for me. I don't know. I also went through a period of not consuming any sugar when I was a gluten-free, dairy-free, blah 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 blah. And actually it was amazing. I had so much energy. Um my joints, like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, when you lose your anxiety for some specific reason and it's not until then that you realize you were anxious. There is like this stiffness in my joints that I don't really notice until it's not there. That like when I stopped consuming sugar, I think it was like a week or like a week and a half after, that like my whole body felt like more like free or something. I don't know. So yeah, I think sugar is toxic shit. And any diet pop is garbage. Garbage. Also, have you ever had like a diet 7 Up or diet Sprite? That shit is fucking disgusting. It's not even fit to like take paint off of a wall. It's fucking anything diet is fucking disgusting. Like I already think most pops are gross, but I have very very strong feelings about diet pop because it's fucking disgusting. And also aspartame causes cancer. Okay. Um Oh my god, J. Marie says, did you know that sucralose is in Pedialyte and Ensure now? Pedialyte and Ensure are like kind of medical adjacent type things. Can you imagine? What if you need Pedialyte and you don't want to consume sucralose? I mean, there's probably an Ensure that doesn't have it because there's like 7,000 types of Ensure, but that's bullshit. Um, J. Marie asked, "Did you see the 100 on Netflix?" These are my thoughts on the 100. I My story arc of watching the 100 is 100% identical to what I did with Buffy. And that is that I watched it until they killed off one of the fucking lesbians and then I stopped watching it because that's bullshit. Um not to like okay, spoiler alert, but probably unless you don't know. But okay, spoiler alert for the 100. The main character is some kind of like demigod messiah-esque type. It's like to do with technology, not religion. And like DNA and whatever. I don't know, it's kind of original, or at least it's not derivative, as derivative as most sci-fi television is. So I was into that. Then she shacks up with this awesome woman, and then they just fucking kill her, like 2 or 3 seasons later. Ugh, and then the main character gets with a guy. And I was like, so I guess I did watch it a little bit after she died, but I was kind of like, you know what? I should have taken my cue from what this happened in Buffy and just stopped watching as soon as the bad shit happened. So yeah, I did watch it and I couldn't fucking watch it after that. No, I wasn't on a keto diet because I was like vegan at the time. Apostle person. Yeah, if you want to like give me tips during the stream, like obviously you do whatever you want to do, but YouTube does take a bigger cut than PayPal does. So if you feel like tipping me for the stream during the stream, you can PayPal me. Usually all my information would be in the description, but as this was like an off the cuff stream, I there's no information. So um oh, you did go forward. Okay. Whenever I come to a stream late, like Karen or Excellentic or something, I always like start at the beginning, but I watch it in double speed. Indica makes me sleepy, says Dragon. Well, you know what they say, indica in the couch. uh Aisha says that her drink is an extra large iced mocha with lots of chocolate syrup. You know what's a cool drink? Um is to get like a half and half mocha, like half white, half dark chocolate. It's like a pretty interesting taste. Um Lita says my specialist advised me to get CBD oil, but I don't know if it's worth it. Honestly, I think that having some THC in your bloodstream at all times, like not high, you know, like it stays in your body for like 3 months or something, right? I think having some THC in your body or having like there's a difference between having some and having none in your body to do with 88 your I think that it kind of gives me slightly more impulse control. I'm not going to fucking explain that because I can't. But I think having some THC in my body gives me like a very slight more impulse control, if that makes sense. Um, I've never tried. Well, I've done CBD for my chronic illness, chronic pain stuff. I mean, it makes you kind of sleepy. So in that way, it would be treating my ADHD just like my last ADHD med, which is like if you're tired and depressed, you express your hyperactivity less because you're fucking tired and depressed. Not that CBD makes you depressed, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Aisha says that she swears by CBD. Oh my god, Dragon. Dragon says I have a Pepsi addiction that's under control now, but it reminds me of fond memories of my grandmother, so I won't give it up completely. Aw. Dragon, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Toronto? Because I know that on a lot of the reses in Canada, everybody is nuts about Pepsi. Is that the situation? Is that why it reminds you of your mom? Um, but also obviously now we can't be friends because you like Pepsi and I like Coke. So I don't know how this is supposed to work. Okay. Um, can I Bean Sprout says, can I just say that sugary drinks in North America compared to here are gross. They taste very different. Are you talking about like the you think it tastes better in the UK or out of the UK? Um, Matt Adams says aspartame is not fit for human consumption. Very much agree. I fucking hate the taste of stevia. When I was on my sugar-free phase, I tried to make like bread and stuff with stevia instead of because sugar, and it was like fucking disgusting. J. Marie, do you know there is this stuff from Mexico? It's easier to get if you're in the US than if you're in Canada. I think you can order it from Mexican Walmart by the case. There is this stuff. It's called electrolyte, and it's Mexican. And it's like if you look at the ingredients, I think it actually has more types of electrolytes in it or more like the quantity. I think it's basically a better Pedialyte but the cost is like obviously like fucking really cheap compared to Pedialyte. Anyway, there's a couple of really good flavors. I usually hate strawberry flavors, but the strawberry flavored electrolyte from Mexico is amazing. And the strawberry kiwi is like fucking crack. It's amazing. I fucking love like I told myself, you drink one a day for hydration. You don't drink many because you want many because they taste good. Um, but yeah, I have I know some people who have like hydration issues and they order that by the case from Mexican Walmart. Um, oh, somebody already fucking mentioned it. And you already mentioned Walmart. Okay. Okay, good. Uh, oh, CBD cream Aisha's mentioning. I haven't tried CBD cream. You can't get it in Canada, can you? Or at least if I did try to get it before, they weren't making it yet. Uh, yeah. But I would definitely be down to try it for my injury repetitive strain thing. Um Jamery's asking if I saw the Joey Bright, Alex, and Exolancic thing earlier. So the situation is this. I also feel like I use the word situation a lot. Do you guys feel like I use the word situation too much? This is a situation. And I do it again. Uh, I started streaming at 9:30 a.m. this morning. I finished streaming at noon this morning. I had a shower, went to work, and came straight back here. I walked in the door at 6:26 p.m. and I started streaming at like 6:37 p.m. So I literally have only worked and streamed today. I have not had time. I do know it happened because somebody like I think Cyber sent it to me and I think oh, no, I listened to like a few minutes of it while I was driving home from work. But yeah, only the beginning. Right, because Cyber said that I was mentioned, so she was like you should watch this or something. Okay. Um yeah, it was on Gender Mapper. Y'all should go watch it obviously. No, but Dr. Bean, isn't CBD legal in the UK? I thought it was only I thought that you could do whatever you want with CBD, but you couldn't have THC in the UK. I don't know. Oh, y'all are talking about high fructose corn syrup in pop in the US. Yeah. Dragon, you're born in Gatineau? Alors vous êtes bilingue, non? Parents dragged me to this dystopian hellscape when I was a child, had to learn English. Yeah. So your first language is French? Yeah, we also have Mexican sodas in Canada. There actually was like a Mexican bodega like really really close to me that I could walk to that also had Jarrito, which is like honestly probably the best soda ever made ever. I think the tamarini is disgusting. Some of the flavors are disgusting, but I fucking love Jarrito. My favorite flavor is definitely pineapple, but they also had like a bunch of Mexican pops, like just like Coke but from Mexico and like Fresca. What's the name of that other one? Like the grapefruit one? Squirt. Oh my god, I love Squirt. Um, yeah, but they closed. So now, if I want to get that shit, I have to go like to the city. Aisha gave me 9.99 just to tell me you can say situation as much as you want. I mean, I guess it's better than me constantly saying. So here's the thing. Um, Aisha says, when I worked in the industrial cannabis industry, I had to get up really early and work a really hard day. So I started it with my giant homemade mocha made with Insure. It was like my Roman So you were making like a protein shake, like latte every morning. uh oh, it's a very gray area in the UK. That's interesting. Jill says you say the F word more than I do, and that's saying something. Do you know one of my jobs involves working with children? And whenever I'm there, I'm like so fucking impressed with myself that I don't swear. I said crap in front of one child like 3 weeks ago once, and I was like, um, what I think is demonstrative of how far I've come. I like whispered, it was under my breath, like I dropped something. um, oh, no way, Dragon. Okay, alors, vous êtes sur ma liste maintenant. Parce que je veux faire un live stream français. Et so there's no point to do a French live stream if the Frenchies don't show up to watch. Like if I start doing a stream in French, obviously the people who don't speak French are not going to stick around because it'd probably be pretty fucking boring for you. Um, so I need to somehow get all of my Frenchies coordinated. Um, yeah. Do you still have family in Gatineau, Dragon? Everyone agrees that pineapple soda is the best. If I told you that I ate pineapple on pizza, would you have a positive view of me? Or would you think, wow, that's one crazy Canadian? Isn't that also like some kind of a stereotype about Canadians and pineapple on pizza? I don't really know what that is. I just know it tastes fucking good. Don't say Matt Adams said I might listen for fun even if I don't understand a word. Well, you're gonna understand some words because I don't know gender language and radical feminist language in French. So I'm gonna be speaking Fringlish, like French, but for those specific words, I'll use the English words. Oh my god. Every time you mention your mother, Dragon, I'm like angry on your behalf. Your mother refused to speak French in the house. Was that her way of trying to force you to learn English? I was the opposite. My mom tried to speak French at home because Toronto is not really a place to speak French ever. Um, but then over the years, not being in French school anymore, not seeing our French family, like we basically did stop speaking it entirely. Um, um, but yeah, like my French is pretty shit to be honest with you. Um, but I would like to try. The only time I speak French is when I am with people who don't speak any English, and that is a problem. Like I try and practice my French with my bilingual friends, and then as soon as I start discussing something I'm very uh like passionate about, I'll switch to English because I it's too difficult in French. Anyway. Oh, your dad is also francophone. So your reservation that your family is originally from is in Quebec. That's interesting. You lost your French in your 20s? Yeah. I'm so jealous of my mom because even though she left the French area she grew up in, um, and even though she moved to like Toronto when she was like at the end of high school basically, and somehow her French is like still pretty fucking good. I guess because she spoke only exclusively French for the first like 15 years of her life or whatever. Hello, Lisa. Dr. Bean says, "Why is pineapple on pizza an issue?" Yes, exactly. I don't understand. Lisa says, frankly, almost anything on pizza is good. Exactly. It's like if you would put it in a sandwich or something. People will put like pineapple chutney in sandwiches and stuff. I don't know. Okay. It's such a weird feeling though, Dragon, isn't it? Like, I remember going to visit my great grandmother when I was a teenager. There was one specific time, I think when I was 15 or 16, where my grandmother just like stopped in the middle, my great grandmother, because she lives very far away from me in like a francophone area. She just kind of like stopped in the middle of a conversation and turned to me and then looked at my mom and said, "Wow, she's lost her French, eh?" And I was like, "Fuck." Hello, standing for women, women's rights. Um, Mad Adam. Wow. That coming out of the gate with the hot take there, pineapple on pizza is an abomination. Okay. So I think I need to like focus on the essay and then we can go back to chatting about whatever. My mother's family came originally from Middle West Canada. Oh right, didn't you say you're Blackfoot? Um okay. So, the essay. Dragon's like, "Yeah, I got that too from a relative. They were so pissed I was losing my French." Yeah, because also for non-Canadians, there's this like mentality in Canada that basically French speakers are a minority. And so it's like if you lose your French, it's like you are contributing to the problem of French people being a minority. Um, kind of. I don't know. It's like a there's like a thing in Canada about it. There's like a history and everything. Um, okay, so the essay. So okay. Again, I've kind of mentioned this. Remember how like Algonquin. Oh, okay. Remember how there's I think it's the phallism essay, the sexism essay, where she at the like early on, like on the first or second page, she says something like not like she literally says not all men. She is like, most men, this and that and the other thing. Not all men, but most men. Um and afterwards during the discussion, I was like, why does she say that? Like she is a radical lesbian separatist. I don't really think that she is like out here making sure that some men don't take it personally. And I conjectured that I thought she was doing this to make to allow women who are new to feminist theory. Um, no, don't worry about distracting me, Dragon. It's fine. I thought the reason she did that was to allow women who are new to feminist theory to be able to entertain the concepts that she was, you know, putting forth without taking it super personally. That was my kind of thought about it. Because as soon as you can say not all men, okay, now they don't need to think that everything you're saying applies to their husband or brother or father or whatever, right? So women who are new to this, they won't take it personally. They can just think it through. That's what I thought why she did that. I don't know. Now, in this essay, she talks like it's so common for women's anger to be dismissed and ignored and blah blah blah. Like it's so common. Um, it's as common as dirty socks, she says. I don't read men's misreading of women's anger and their inability to respond appropriately to it as wholly or always willful and malicious. As always, simply a pretense put up just to frustrate the anger and avoid acting on the matter the anger is about. It has often not felt to me like just simple perversity in the situation I have experienced, and this judgment is supported also by my experience on the other side um of this side of the oppression barrier as white women encountering the anger of women of color. The anger is in fact sane and sound, but its seeming crazy and bizarre to the receivers is also real. In many situations, men really do experience women's anger as some sort of unnatural and baffling event that is so okay. But you can say that men are confused by it and really don't get it without basically being like excusing them. I don't know. Like I don't know. It's just it feels like when she talks about a person, she always uses she pronouns. Like she clearly prioritizes women so much in her attitude and her speech patterns and everything. Um, and I don't know, it felt very out of place to me. Okay. And that's like the second paragraph of the whole fucking essay, you know? So, but that's like the introduction. Then she moves on. Okay. Maybe it's to do with her guilt over her racism. I'm not sure. Um, I think it's useful to try to put yourself in the shoes of, your enemy or the opposition or whoever. Like has a practical advantage, right? To try to understand why they do what they do and whatever. But I don't know, I just found it a bit weird. And I think you could say, men act this way and they interpret it. They genuinely perceive it as unnatural or unintelligible and blah blah blah. And you could just say, why is that without excusing them? I don't know. Okay. Um okay. Then she talks about what is anger. And like when do people perceive others' anger as being righteous? So she basically is like being angry is not simply because you're being inconvenienced. It's because you feel that someone has done something either out of incompetence or malice to like intentionally fuck with you. So like I don't know. It snowed, you want to go outside. The snowplow came, but the way they plowed the snow actually is dumped it in front of your car. So instead of making it easier to get out of your parking spot, you are now stuck in your parking spot. This is incompetence. This is a good reason to be angry, right? Uh whereas like I don't know, she gives a couple of different examples, but like, something just not turning out the way it's supposed to happen or being disappointed. Oh, the what was it? The concert tickets. She was like, it's one thing if the game is canceled, then you're disappointed. It's another thing if like you bought the tickets but your partner lost them, then you're angry because it's like somebody has done something out of either malice or incompetence which has like inconvenienced you, and not just inconvenienced you, but inconvenienced you in something that you felt you had the right to do. So she talks about someone building a bookshelf, and that this woman who's building the bookshelf is using a hammer. Somebody takes the hammer from her. You know, I'm using the hammer for a very legitimate reason. I'm not doing anything to hurt anyone with it. Um, you can see that I'm using the hammer and that I'm like using it rightfully with good intentions. And she says, like the author is like the only reason to take the hammer that wouldn't get her angry at you in that situation is probably if you're using it to like defend both of you from an intruder or something. Um, and so she talks about perception on both ends of it. And so like if my friend is building a bookshelf and I think she stole the hammer from me, then to me, that's a good reason to take. That makes her the rightness of the situation from her perspective different and my perspective different, right? Um, yeah, so she kind of just talks about like what is anger, or okay, then she talks about yeah, let me not get ahead of myself. Right, so you need to respect a person as an individual, and respecting them as an individual is where the rightness of their, and rightness she doesn't mean like you have to respect the rightness of what they're doing, and to do this you need to respect them fundamentally as a person. And so to me this ties back to the last essay where she talks about like the personhood of women within a male supremacy. Okay, she gives an example here of a woman who had her carburetor adjusted. Then she went to get gas, and the gas attendant started fucking with her carburetor. And she told the gas attendant, "Don't do that." And the gas attendant, instead of engaging with her on the basis of like what am I doing with the carburetor, his response was, "You're a crazy bitch." So instead of engaging with her on why she's angry and the rightness, how right is she to be angry about that? Like she went out of her way to get it fixed correctly, and then you're gonna mess it up again. It's a very good reason to be angry at someone. Instead of engaging with her on that basis, he engaged with her on a purely personal basis. You're a woman who's angry. I'm doing what I think I'm allowed to do. I don't need to consider you or how it affects you or whatever because like I'm a man, so clearly I know it's about a car. Obviously, I know better. So the fact that you're telling me to stop is you're a crazy bitch. That's it. Um, right. And so this is her example. She talks about this author who where's the name here? J.L. Austin. Um, and how basically this she explains this thing that's called a speech act. And it's when you say something like I promise or I apologize and the other person um what's the term she uses here? She uses uptake, but there's another word she uses. Well, whatever. The other person uptakes that. So you say I'm sorry, the other person says I accept your apology, right? And how it's also like it's a relational thing, anger. It's in between two parties. So if I'm angry and I tell you, I'm angry at you, this is why I'm angry. And your response is to be like, well, you didn't uptake my anger, right? So this either means you don't respect me as a person or you respect me to some extent. It's arguable this, but you respect me, but you think the thing I'm angry about doesn't have any rightness behind it. Um right. So from this concept, she explains this is basically why women get more angry when men are trying to calm them down because women are like, XYZ happened, that was fucked up. Someone fucked me over, someone was incompetent and that messed up my day, and I'm angry about it. And the man, instead of being like engaging on the topic, right? They engage on the personal level. Oh, like, why are you so hysterical? Calm down. There's no need to be like that, blah, blah, blah. So you have failed to respect her and the rightness of her anger by by not uptaking her anger. Um, yeah. It's almost like she's describing a male arrogance. It kind of has to do with the what was the term she used in the last essay? Or the two essays ago, I guess. The arrogant eye. No, that was this morning. Or was that yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. The arrogant eye thing. Um and how if you see yourself as a full person, you don't see the women as a full person, then it would be weird if you uptook their anger, if you don't see them as full persons. Because then you would be demonstrating respect for someone you have no respect for. I don't know. Okay. Then she discusses like different types of rightness and wrongness. So like, you both called you both called the movie theater to see what time the movie is. One of you says 7, one of you says 7:30. Well, this is just like a confusing situation, right? To do with rightness and wrongness. Then she says, your friend tells you that they are the Messiah. This is not the same situation of rightness and wrongness. This is a situation of like, well, like absurdism, basically. Um, so like in the first situation, either one of you misheard the person on the phone or misremembered what happened on the phone, or you each spoke to a different attendant and they each told you some different information, right? The second scenario, where your friend says that they're the Messiah, the wrongness is not in the hearing of it, in the remembering of it, in the sharing of it. The wrongness is in the person's belief, right? It's unfalsifiable. So, um, standing for women's like, I followed you for a while, but I changed my pick and my name. I'm sorry for the confusion. Well, tell me what your old name used to be. Uh, okay, right. Okay. Right. So her position is that one makes claims upon respect. So if one had no respect in the first place, then there's no claims to be made by that person, right? This is to do with the personhood that she discussed in the previous chapter. Um yeah, it's kind of what I was just saying. I feel like I'm kind of going into circles a little bit. Okay. Yeah, like listen to this. Okay. To get angry is to claim implicitly that one is a certain sort of being, a being which can, and is in this case does, stand in a certain relation and position apropos the being one is angry at. One claims that one is certain that in certain ways and dimensions respectable. One makes claims upon respect. For any woman to presuppose any such thing of herself is at best potentially problematic and at worst incomprehensible in a world of male supremacy where women are women and men are men. A man's concept of woman and of a man and his understanding of what sorts of relations and connections are possible between beings of those sorts to a great extent determines the range of his capacity to comprehend these claims and hence of his capacity to give uptake to women's anger. So that's a very concise thing of what I've just been rambling about for the last 10 minutes. Okay. Then she moves on to when is women's anger respected as seen as righteous? Um, right. So then she talks about how women being angry about children is seen as right because women, archetypally are mothers. Women being um, pro life is acceptable because women are supposed to protect children and blah, blah, blah. Right. Then she talks about, let's go back here. So basically, anything to do with kids, homemaking, or secretarial work is seen as the domain of women, and therefore, if it's their area. They're allowed to be angry about that. Um, and that men will listen to them sometimes, or at the very least, not think that they're whack jobs for having opinions in these domains, right? Not thinking that she's like hysterical or something. But honestly, when I was reading that, I kept thinking back to like these mena is like Middle East and North African um dudes that I've come across. And like I come across these dudes because of the ex-Muslim women online. So it's always like I see some ex-Muslim woman who has like a thread or a tweet or something and I click on her and then I see who she's talking to and it's always these fucking dudes. Anyway, I've seen a couple of threads or comments or whatever by these men which are basically like, you know, "Oh, my wife is too nice to the kids. Oh, my wife lets the kids get away with everything. Oh, my wife doesn't know how to raise them, blah, 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 blah." All of this commentary about how they think the wife is supposed to, like, what the wife is supposed to be doing in the home, what the wife like, do you guys see that, video I think it was about 2 months ago, where it was, like, some fucking guy. He walks in the door of his home. His wife immediately gets on her knees, takes off his shoes, and like kisses his feet or some insane bullshit. And I'm like, do you think that she did that because she thought like this is the best way to be a homemaker? No, I would doubt it. I think that she was told by some dude this is the best way to be a homemaker. So anyway, I think I agree with what she's saying that these are the domains in which it is possible for women to be taken seriously in their anger. But I also think that men, their phallism, and by that I mean them the concept that they see themselves as persons as not and not women as persons is so deep that they think even if they never spend any time with their kids, especially not the girl kids, they still know more about child rearing than their wives. because they have a dick. So obviously they know more about everything because they're basically gods. Anyway, so I just thought I agreed with what she was saying, but it was like um there's limits on that. Oh, that video that it's slavery to males. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. And she was wearing I don't even think she was wearing a niqab, so you could only see her eyes. Um and Actually, my first thought when I saw that, I'm about to go on my anti-religion stuff. So, if that offends you, I don't care, but this is your warning to leave. uh I was like, why is she doing that? And I'm like, is it for what I was kind of discussing this morning, which is like she thinks it's a trade-off. Um that if she treats him in this godlike fashion, that he will respect her, because we all know that that doesn't really work, but a lot of women think that works. And then what I kept going back to, because I think that everybody involved, I think this was in Saudi. No, this was in UAE. And everybody, like the dude posting the video and the people in the video, are all from UAE, I think, because I read some of the comments and stuff. And I thought, you know what? I think because the women are taught, Muslim women are taught that men, all Abrahamic religions teach that the male head of a household, the father or husband of the household, is an extension of God, right? And so this is in all Abrahamic religions. And women are never an extension of God. Who the fuck could know why that is? Maybe patriarchy. Who's to say? But men are extensions of God. Do you want to go to heaven and not be tortured in hell forever? Well, you need to cherish and respect God, and by through cherishing and respecting your husband. Like, I really think this woman probably was brainwashed from a very, very young age that doing anything other than this insane bullshit is gonna like land her in hell and, you know, land her on the receiving end of like the holy and righteous anger from her husband. Um anyway, it's literally slavery. It is, I think, a great example of what we read about in the arrogance and love. What was the three steps? Abduction or isolation, seasoning, and crime. So the first thing is to isolate them from any resources or support that they have. How do you do that in a Muslim country? All you have to do is marry the woman. Suddenly she's in your house, and the only contact she has outside your house is the ones that you approve. Pretty fucking easy. Or if you're in Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, you can literally go. What is it? Uzbekistan? What's the country that has the highest abduction rate for marriages? I think it's Uzbekistan. You can literally, it's something insane. Like 60% of the marriages, like I don't even need to use quotations. It's marriage in the original sense. I have the right to rape this woman. It's in that sense the marriage. They literally kidnap the women, bring them home, shame them and harass them. Like sometimes their brothers or dad will try and come and get them out, and like men will stand at the door and be like, "You can't have her back," and like force her into marriage with some dude, and then lock her in a room with the dude so he can rape her the first time. Anyway, and then okay, so the abduction and isolation. So you got your wife; she's your property now. You can do whatever the fuck you want with her. This is fundamental. The isolation. Then comes the seasoning. The way that it was described. Sorry, I just heard some music and I'm trying to now figure out what the music is. What is that? Is this Mahler? Okay, whatever. Never mind. The seasoning. So, next comes the seasoning. What is the seasoning? The seasoning is when you torture the woman so much that the moment you stop torturing her, she suddenly is like having warm feelings towards you, that you are protecting her, because anything other than you torturing her is you doing a kindness to her. I don't think I need to go into how you can accomplish this when your wife is literally your fucking property. But it's very easy, even in industrialized Western countries, right? Like, you see those things on the news that, some family in Sweden, some family in Canada, the daughter took off the hijab at school, so the dad and the brother stoned her to death. What do you think is happening in that home? That this is a unique instance of violence against women? Yeah, right. Okay. Then comes the seasoning. After the seasoning comes the crime. To me, this is very, very easy in religious situations. This part specifically is like constantly demonstrated. All you need to do is have sex with her. Once you have sex with her, she's dirty and useless to her family, to society, everyone. The only person who would have any use from this woman anymore is the man who took her virginity. There you go. You've now turned your wife into a slave. Like, oh my god. Oh yeah, Dragon, are you talking about that when that happened in Quebec? That was quite a while ago, wasn't it? It was like 2010 or something. Um, I think it was two daughters and a mom. Then the brother and the dad killed them. Yes, Poonam says there are Western equivalents to this, all DV relationships. Yeah, I was actually talking earlier this morning. I think it was Lisa Michelle who brought up. I can't actually remember what originally we were talking about. How um, Southern women in the U.S. seem to think that it's possible to make some kind of contract or trade off with a man that he will treat you right. And I was like, this is the slavery that we're talking about. And you just can't see it because Christianity is so normal to you that these trad wives in a Christian setting is so normal you can't really see it. I was like, flip out the religion with a different religion and look at it again, and then you really see it. Something that's not as familiar to you. Um, 2011 says Dragon, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go back up to where I started like ranting about my shit. Uta says Benji, I want us to write a book, and then Aisha's like Benji should write a book. Everybody's always asking me to write a book, and like that's cool and everything, but I don't feel capable. I think what I will be capable of doing is compiling like an anthology of other women's essays and like throwing my own essay in there at this point. Honestly, I want to start writing for like 4W or Feminist Current, and then working my way into or like Unheard or um Uncommon Ground Media, and then I work my way into more mainstream-ish things like maybe Quillette, Post Millennial, The Critic. I just feel like I haven't written in so long. I don't have much confidence with it, and it's not even about confidence. It's that process of getting constructive criticism in a way that you don't need to get the same criticism again, like learning how to write more cleanly and focused. And I feel I'm very out of touch with that right now. And in the past, when I have written, I have had specific women that I really like. I had great chemistry with them as an editor, and I really, really relied upon them. And I don't have any of those women right now. I've lost contact with the ones I've used in the past, and I just feel like if I was going to write a book, I don't feel I'm in that place to do that now. Um, Probably what would improve my confidence is once I've read more feminist literature generally. Oh my god, you know which book I decided I think we should all read, guys? You tell me what you think because it's kind of pretty accessible, but I also think it's like perfect for my channel. I want to read Our Bodies Ourselves. Now, I know it's like 1,000 pages long. I mean, I don't know how many pages long it is, but it's quite long. I want to read the original 1971 edition because I know that the language and the topics and stuff in there, like I know that the science was kind of updated in the 90s edition, or it's like 1998 or something, right? But I also know that they kind of watered down some of the radical feminist stuff a little bit for the later edition. So I want to read the original edition. Um, And then I know that there are some feminist philosophers who have written about the knowledge, self knowledge of womanhood. And I think that would be great to read our bodies ourselves and then to read those feminist philosophers about self knowledge that women have. Um, I don't know. It's just something I've really wanted to do for a long time. I've always wanted to write an article on that topic to do with FTMs. And I feel like I don't have a confident understanding of the previous feminist analysis on which to build my own analysis. And that's just not a place from which I want to write. So I'm not like against ever writing a book. I just feel I am not in a place where I want to be writing a book right now, if that makes sense. Like I think if I write a book now, I'm gonna like in a few years regret it and be like, oh, if only I had done. I mean, probably that will happen no matter what. But I don't know. I think I need to like get into the habit of writing again and going through the editorial process again while I'm reading more nonfiction like this. I don't know. We'll see. If somebody is writing some kind of an anthology and wants me to contribute one essay, that I think is within my grasp. I don't know. Okay. How come I don't know what this? Okay, this is driving me insane. I'll be right back. What is this Shostakovich concerto? What is it? I have to ask my roommate what she's listening to. What is it? Is this Shostakovich cello concerto? Oh, thank you. Because I was losing my mind trying to figure out what it is. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, she's listening to Dvorak cello concerto. I don't know how I thought it was Shosty. I only thought it was Shosty because I clearly recognized it as a cello concerto, and I can literally only think of like Elgar and Haydn that I can actually think of the themes, and it definitely is not one of those. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Punam says, why do women need to justify anger? They shouldn't have to justify their anger. We should be respected, and our perception and experience of the world should be respected. If that was the case, there would be no situation of people failing, society at large failing to uptake the very justifiable, the very righteous anger of women. Okay. Standing for women's rights says you're doing a great job for us lesbians and women. Thank you. You're welcome. Um VF is like, let's stop producing any more moids. Like, really? This is why I'm all for the four no's, says VF. Yeah, exactly. This is like why I'm marriage critical, is because like it's not that I want to deny women agency. It's that like it's so easy to trick yourself because like, like especially if you're straight, you want a man who, you have like chemistry with and he respects you and he supports you and it's a partnership and all this crap. Obviously this is what you want. So it's very very easy to convince yourself that that's the situation you're in. And once you're in the situation, it is quite difficult to get out of. And I don't mean like legally, I mean psychologically and emotionally and socially. It's quite difficult to get out of that. Um and it's once you're in that situation, it's so like how many women do you know, right? Who were like, when I started dating with him, he was so nice and whatever. And not even to the point of marriage at this point, right? And in at this point in society, in 2021, or I guess it's 2022 now, So many women. Oh yeah, I dated him for like a year. He was so nice. He was so considerate. Everything was like equal and even, and blah blah blah. Then I moved in. A month after I moved in, he started doing XYZ horrible things to me. I never thought he was like that. That's why I felt comfortable to move in, but we have a lease together now. What should I do? And it's like it's so easy to get in that situation and then for him to fuck you over. Don't let him like if the first step is isolation, don't let him marry you. Then the first step is much more difficult for him. Or again, at this point, I guess even cohabitating. Because when I mentioned them, like, because I don't really have that many friends my age who are married. But the thing that I'm describing, like, anyway, whatever. Let's keep moving on. Okay. Standing for women is like, dab. Okay. Um. Oh, Gay is here. Hello, Gay. Beansprout says women are punished for their husbands' affairs. Yeah, it's insane. That's kind of what I was talking about. How women are seen as responsible for all the bad stuff that happens around them. Um, and why is that? It's because when something bad happens, obviously you can't blame men because they're basically God, and God is obviously only responsible for good things. So it's obviously the women's fault. Whose else fault could it be? If it's not the men, it's obviously the women. Hello, Sabrina. Oh my god. Standing for women, what country are you? Are you in Turkey? Standing for Women says, last week I saw a Turkish ex husband behead his ex wife. He beheaded her in the square and paraded her head around, and everyone clapped. Puke. Yeah, I saw that video, like a similar video, which is like, can we stop and take a second to think about how insane, how incomprehensible it is that there are multiple videos of this to compare to each other, of men beheading women. Okay. But I saw a similar video that it was in Iran, and there was all of these Persians, Iranians, whatever, commenting on it. And all of them were saying, um, like in Farsi, I had to translate the tweets. All of them were like, well, the police force will probably arrest him, but he'll probably get a slap on the wrist because, all the men support why he did that. Um, or people commenting like, oh, I had a neighbor who did this and he was in prison for 1 year or something like that. Um, and like my ex who was Albanian, she said she had a neighbor who did that. Um, but it was a sister that the sister was she was it wasn't even known if she had sex yet, but she was dating a boy when she was also my ex said she was like an adult. She was like 20 or something. She was dating some guy and sorry. She was dating some guy. Her brother found out. The family was just the mom, the sister and the brother. So the brother was like the head of the household or whatever. And when he found out that she was dating this guy that he hadn't approved of, he beat her to death. And everybody on the street heard what happened, knew what happened, and she was like, the cops came and they were like, yeah, she fell down the stairs. And the cops were like, yep. And they wrote that in the report, and the brother faced literally zero repercussions. Why? Because the men in authority all thought he did the right thing, so they don't want to punish him. Um, this was in Albania in the 90s. Pre, yeah. She left in 2001, so. But the fact that this is a common occurrence means men don't see women as people. Men, as a whole, view wives as the property of their husbands. Just because Cosmopolitan or whoever the fuck told us, oh no, it's not, everything's better now because equality, because we can divorce, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't mean the way men see women, the way men think it's acceptable to treat women has changed. Okay. Gay says you will write a book one day, Benji, and then Aisha says it's confidence in your voice. Well, we'll see. I'm much more confident in my writing voice actually than in my speaking voice. But it's because I'm more confident in my writing that I know I can do better. You know what I mean? Like I definitely haven't reached my potential. Like in university, the only writing I ever did was writing essays for music history. And I took one like history, like general history course that wasn't music related. And they were only in first and second year. I only ever wrote essays for like 3 courses in university and they were not like I haven't done any writing really in like years. I don't feel like I'm in a good shape with it. Anyway, okay, let's keep moving on. Bean, Dr. Bean is heading up a Substack. You know what I was thinking? Maybe I should do Poonam says writing is the easiest when you have a group to write with. Yeah, like when I know that there's somebody who is expecting for me to email them something and they're going to like give me feedback. That definitely like that's kind of what I'm doing with you guys. Was like when I started reading the first book that I read on this channel, which I actually didn't even start reading on YouTube. I started reading it on this other random app where nothing is recorded. And then I was like, if I make a contract with people, you know, I'm going to read this. I've made a contract with you. You expect that. I've said that I'm going to do that. You expect that from me. Then I will do it. Um, and so that's how I got my momentum and got started. But now I think I've pretty, I don't know. Don't bounce back down like that. Where is it? Dragon says being published is such a high, better than any high on stage. Dragon, are you published? What is this? Do you have a book? Can I have a signed copy? Oh yeah, being spread about the Substack. Okay, so I was thinking, Leslie Farrington recently started her Substack. Who else recently started a Substack? Someone else recently started a Substack. The fuck is it? Well, whatever. I thought maybe I should do like a little video and just be like, these are my friends who are on Substack, who have Substacks. Here are links. Go and check them out. Or just like my top favorite 15 Substacks written by women or something. Now, it might be a barrier that I don't read anything on Substack. However, maybe I should like make an account and follow people or whatever it is you do. Not people, women. I don't know. I was standing for women's rights. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I think I remember you now. Um, and I'm sorry you have memory issues. That must be very frustrating. Aisha tells me to write for yourself and keep it. Maybe, but if I do things for myself, I just don't do it. Like I'm just gonna be 100% honest with you. If I'm only doing something for myself, it doesn't get done. That's why my room is constantly a mess and the rest of the house is clean because like my roommates are affected by the mess outside my bedroom. Okay. Serena says, "I want to write a book called Trunacy." um, yeah, exactly. Aisha says you hope it's a partnership, but find out after the fact that often it is not. Beansprout says, yes, they convince you that you are worthless and nobody else will ever love you. They find ways to trap you, making it difficult as possible to leave. Yeah, so just don't let yourself get put. Don't even let, if you don't let the first part of that situation take place, the rest of it can't happen. So don't enter into that situation. Um, VF says, or lie to himself that he is different than the other moids. Exactly. Um, Like, you ever see these women again on Reddit? Everything's about Reddit to me. Because I just listen to these Reddit threads so much. Um, there's this one YouTube channel, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the only YouTube channel that reads Reddit threads without the same robot voice. The robot voice has a Welsh accent, and it actually sounds like a real human speaking. It's nice. Um, obviously a man, but whatever. Anyway, and it's always like family drama. I think it's like Am I the Asshole stuff, but only family drama. Anyway, there's always these like I listened to one yesterday and I was like, what the fuck is wrong? Like it's this thing where it's like the expectations are so low and to me, this is like demonstrative of what we read about this morning, which is that like the men condition the women to constantly be suffering, and the moment they stop making the woman suffer, she's like, "Oh my god, you're helping me, you're being nice to me, like I have warm, appreciative feelings towards you because you're protecting me." And like I was listening to this thing this morning, last night when I was going to sleep. I don't fucking know. I was listening to this Reddit bullshit. And this woman was like, "Okay, so I'm married to this dude. It's his second marriage. So he has stepkids. He's always complaining that he doesn't have enough time to spend with his daughter." So that's like this woman who's writing, it's her stepdaughter. They also have a child together. So he is complaining that they don't get to he doesn't get enough spend enough time with his first daughter. So she is like, we have changed our entire life so that I work a second job so that he can stay home more, so that he can spend more time with her. And then she describes her average day. Her average day, she is the only one taking care of the dogs. She's taking them in and out of the house multiple times a day to go to the washroom and go for their walk. She is the only one cooking or cleaning in the entire house for her and the kids. One of which is like literally not her fucking kid, like stepchild, whatever. But you know what I mean. Okay. Then, um, she has two jobs. He only has one job. On the days that he's not working his only job, he gets to sleep in and not have to even see the kids off to school in the morning. So he is never a part of the kids' morning routine. And then she says, "So I have two jobs. I do all the childcare. I do all of the housework. I take care of the dogs." She didn't even mention it in this way. The way she mentions it, like that's the craziest part about this. Okay, so this is the situation. And then the crazy part, the second craziest part, the husband, what does he do? She is like, he is fucking crazy or weird or something because she's like, the kids will get home from school. He will stand around and talk with them for like 10 minutes. Then he'll go to the washroom. He will sit in the washroom for hours until dinner is ready. I'll have to come to the washroom and tell him dinner's ready. He will come out and eat dinner and immediately go back into the washroom until I come to the washroom and tell him I'm going to bed. Then he has a shower and gets in bed. She tried to ask him what he's doing in the washroom and he won't tell her. I think he has a porn addiction. People in the comments said that they thought he had a gambling addiction and was like gambling on his phone or something. I don't fucking know. Either way, everyone, including her, agrees something bizarre is happening. But like in this horrific tale of exploitation, right? The guy does nothing. He works one job, which is like half the days of the week, and he doesn't do any housework, any childcare, any dog care. And she was asking, he he said that she is keeping him away from his daughter or some insane bullshit. And she literally was like, "You won't leave the washroom when we're all at home. So obviously I spend more time with her than you because I'm not sitting in the washroom by myself all day." Um and she came to Reddit to ask if she was being mean to him. I was like, "You are his slave and you're asking him to just like not be delusional. You're not even asking him to pick up his slack or to apologize or to appreciate. You're not even asking him for any of these things. You're asking him to just not be insane, and you think that you're being mean to him." Like, that is a great situation of you've ground this woman down to the point where anything other than overt intentional exploitation 24/7, the moment you stop overtly exploiting her for 1 second, she's like, "Oh, but he's being nice to me." No! No, he's not. Okay. Ugh, VF's sorry, not VF. Dragon says her first real girlfriend. isolated her and then abused her and then stalked her. I've heard this from like so many lesbians that they had ex-girlfriends who were stalkers. Like why? What is going on there? Um oh, Cyber is the other woman who's starting a Substack. Yes. Um VF says men allow other men to terrorize us so they can look better. But they don't stop the other men. Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, to me, this is I saw this Twitter thread from some Korean, well, I found it through looking through some Korean feminist Twitter threads. Um, so there was like a video of some girl being groped in the subway in Korea, right? Which is shockingly and horrifically unremarkable, unfortunately. And some dude tweeted the video and he was like, I would never do this. Like, basically being like, "I'm a nice guy, why don't I have a girlfriend?" And then a bunch of women were quote tweeting him and being like, "But would you stop the guy?" And he responded and he was like, "Yeah, no, of course not." And they were like, "So how are you a nice guy again?" Right? Um, what is that? What am I thinking about? Exelansic mentioned this. I think, oh fuck, I have like a very vague sense of what it is that I'm trying to talk about. But I think it was to do something to do with the animal kingdom. But basically, if there is like party A is attacking party B, right? Clearly, the person who has the power and the authority in the situation is the attacker, right? However, the person or the animal or whatever who is being attacked, if there's a third party sitting on the sidelines watching this happen and not intervening, the attacked party will view the system of power as being the attacked, the observer, and the attacker. Just by being there and doing nothing, you have power and you are like implicitly collaborating with the attacker. Um, and so this I think is a great example of what you've just said. Like, compared to the really shitty men, they look like better men, but it doesn't impugn their authority. Okay. Dr. Bean says, fuck liberal feminism, honestly. Yeah, exactly. J. Marie says, does Substack let you sign up anonymously? Yeah, isn't it like from Google or something? I don't know. I'm sure you can make an anonymous one. I mean, Glinner's Substack is probably Glinner, right? Um, and Cyber has one, and she's all cyber everything. So, Excellency started a Substack. Fuck, everyone's on Substack. Oh, Gay had to go. Well, that's probably like 30 minutes ago, but goodbye, Gay. Oh, Cuttlefish. Okay, well, I'm glad you all know what the fuck I'm talking about. uh, Poonam, in response to my story about that woman on Reddit, says she needs to leave that man. And Dr. Bean says, I bet there were loads of replies to that story like, but mental health. I see it all the time on Reddit. No, I'm sorry, but that is not an effing excuse. Get the fuck out. Yeah, I completely agree. Oh, Standing for Women's Rights says she also has to go. Oh my gosh, said I'm a great person. Thank you so much, Standing for Women's Rights. Like, I don't even know how to reply to this kind of stuff. I'm very flattered. Thank you. Um, oh, Poonam also had to go. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, Dragon. Your relationship history sounds quite horrific. Jesus Christ. Dr. Bean says it's called the bystander effect. Thank you. Like I mostly know of it from bullying, but um the way that um Excelansic explained it was much more poignant. Cyber said hi. Hello, Cyber. Um Aisha says menopause has really cleared up any desire to enter into any relationship with men. Interesting. I guess that makes sense. Um, no cuttlefish or something else. Okay. I don't know. How old were you, Dragon, in this relation when you started this relationship with her? I don't really know how to deal with compliments. People are always like, you need to learn how to take a compliment. And I'm always like, what does that mean? Like, say thanks. I always say thanks. I don't know. Oh my god, Jay. But like it's completely expected for Reddit. Reddit says Reddit is sorry, Jay says Reddit is the worst. I saw a guy say he punched his elderly mom and they were all comforting him because she was mean. It was so bad they literally berated me. Yeah. But this is like a microcosm of the situation where a man beheads a woman and then the cops are like, "No, but we understand why you did it, so you're not going to face any penalties from us and we're going to defend you from anybody who thinks you need to face penalties." Like it's basically that. Socially it's that. But um yeah. Oh, you were 18, Dragon. Fuck, Dragon. That sounds so horrible. Via says this is why men do nothing but blame women for not picking a better man. Very, very true. Um that's nice guys for you. Yeah. Okay. It is now 9:06. I started streaming at 9:30 this morning and I've just been go 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 all day. Momo, why do you sit there? Why can't you come sit here? Well, Gigi says I have never experienced a non-abusive relationship with a man, even if it was just emotional abuse. Yeah. That's why I'm like critical of heterosexuality. It's like when I was a teenager, this was when I was still buying into liberal feminism. I think that I had like really feminist instincts. Well, I know I had literally when I was like 7 or something, and I look back now and I'm like, it must have been obvious that I was a lesbian. Because when I was like a child, I literally told my mom once. I remember specifically being in the backyard at the house that well, the apartment I grew up in, um, and turning to her and saying, you know, I'm never gonna get married. That's a bad deal for women. It's all work, work, work. I don't want to be stuck in that position. Something along those lines. And my mom said to me, "Oh, when you're older, you'll see it different, honey, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, when I was a teenager, every time one of my female friends started dating a guy, without fail, even if I meet my high school friends now and I meet their male partners, without fail, I am like, "You deserve better. He is not good enough for you." Um, for a plethora of reasons, for an infinite number of reasons. They are not good enough for you. Now I'm like older and I'm critical of heterosexuality and I'm like because literally no man is good enough for any woman because they all do this shit. They're all so psychologically predisposed to supremacy and entitlement. It's actually would be kind of like impossible for them to actually truly respect you. Like if such a man exists, it's probably like 1 in every 100 million or something, okay? Like, they're, like, vanishingly rare. Not rare, like, "Oh, there was only a few in my high school." Like, if you ever meet such a man, probably you will only have met this man once. Like, you will only ever meet a man like this once in your life. So, for women to be, like, going out into, like, society and into the dating world and everything and being like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna find one of the nice ones." You are wasting your time. You are wasting your energy. You are setting yourself up for disappointment. Don't fucking do that shit. Anyway, Toonpick says that he's a het man and he isn't married. Well, good. I don't know about from the male perspective, but I'm trying to think what I would tell a guy friend if I had a guy friend. You may end up in a situation where you think this woman is the one. I want to have kids with her. This is maybe not specifically to you, but like generally. You say marriage is a trap. Why do you think marriage is a trap? Do you think it's a trap for men? Like because they need to be breadwinners and whatever? Or like I assume that you're watching my channel, you generally no, I know marriage benefits men, Lisa, but so many men are it's the role reversal thing. Mary Daly talks about. Um, but yeah, I think that a lot of men probably nice guys or good guys or whatever, as much as a term like that even means anything, will think, I'm in love with her. I treat her with respect, like it's a partnership, you know, might as well take the final step. And I am like, the act of getting married has put her in such a disadvantageous position that anything you do after that is colored by that action, is built upon that basis. And if you truly respected her, you would never put her in that situation to begin with. What if you do become an alcoholic? What if you do become abusive? Now, she, the woman that you love, is the one who has to figure out how to get out of that horrific situation. I don't know. I guess that's what I would say to a guy if I was friends with a guy. Sabrina says too many women are attracted to oppressive behavior. Yeah, very true. Um, and it's because of conditioning. We are conditioned that what is in the benefit of men, what is in the service of men, is what is good for society, is what is good for people, including women. Right? Obviously, it's bullshit. Um, Dr. Bean says there were men complaining on Twitter today about being quote unquote financially and psychologically manipulated by OnlyFans. How about stop being a porn sick piece of shit and following your dick around? How about that? But yeah, Tune Picks, I generally agree. Marriage is a trap. I have seen religious men whining about how it's a trap for them because they need to be breadwinners for their family and blah 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 blah. Like maybe if you hadn't rigged the situation so that it is supposed to be that way, then you wouldn't be stuck in that situation, would you? Um yes, Lisa says marriage benefits men, yet it is perceived that men don't want to be married. Like that's the stereotype. And then Radical Rambling says the old ball and chain. I also love how like most of the time when I see either Radical or Lisa, also Radical or Lisa are there. Like you guys seem to travel in a in a like duo. um Aisha says I've been tracked economically twice. I'm very glad you got out of that. Since you mentioned being single now, I assume you got out of it. Um and Lisa says and yet happy wife, happy life. Yeah. And that again brings us back to the thesis of the essay. Women's anger doesn't have merit. Why? Because men don't respect women as people. Men don't respect the rightness of the reasons that women are angry. Like when this happy wife, happy life thing, when I think of that, I immediately think, okay, um, the wife does all the housekeeping. The husband keeps putting his dirty dishes on the counter. Every day, the wife says, please put your dishes in the dishwasher. You know, I don't mind being at the one to turn it on at the end of the day or whatever, but please put your dishes in the dishwasher. Just one less thing for me to do, please. The husband, it's like, oh, my wife is nagging me. She won't stop nagging me. Like, my life is so hard. Instead of seeing that your wife does 99% of the labor, she's asking you to do this, like, 0% labor. You're being like, oh, my life is so hard because my wife um, is basically my servant and she won't let me treat her like she's an actual servant all the time. Like, how out of touch with reality are you, dude? I feel like I scared off this Toon Picks guy. I don't know. He didn't reply to my question, but that's okay. Is this channel phallophobic? Is it like a hostile space to be if you're a man? Probably a good thing if it is. Oh, Dragon asked if I ate. I mean, I ate today. I have a Boston cream donut from Tim's and half a wrap from Tim's. Oh my god, is it 9:15? Oh yeah, I guess I said it was 9 a few minutes ago. Okay, I need to wrap up the stream soon. But um maybe I'll order a pizza or a shawarma. But I don't know. I told myself I'm going to the grocery store tomorrow, so I'll stop ordering food. I don't know, we'll see. Oh, Toonpix is still here. What's up, bro? uh Beans Pro says not hostile, just truthful. Yes, but if you are a man who's used to being fluffed by the whole fucking society, I think truthfulness might come off to you as quite scary. Um Radical Rambling says a 2 for 1 package. And Lisa says she's my wolf pack. Oh my god, that's so cute. Um, I hope that wasn't like rude. I didn't mean cute at I meant it in a good way. Okay. Cyber's been riding her bike in the rain. Are you soaked wet then? Dr. Bean says, "Oh, the coordinating. Oh, um, if you had asked me, I would have done it. We shouldn't have to ask you." Yeah. Aisha immediately after, I don't think she even had time to read that, says the asking and telling is the most exhausting part. It's key having walkaway money. Yeah. Like, that's something too that I think in a lot of ways, my grandmother was a better role model for me than my mother in terms of just, like, a woman making her way in her life. Um, my grandmother, her first husband and her second husband, both of them were pretty messy divorces. Um, yeah. But her first husband was, like, a really, really piece of shit, had a second secret family, was in a gang, was alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, um, whenever I was over at her place, I lived with her for a year when I was 18, and also when I was younger, whenever I was at her place, she would just go on these unsolicited rants, and if my sister was there, we'd always give each other this look like, "Oh, there she goes again." But now that I like, now it was basically since I moved out of my parents' house, and, like, moved away from her, like, when I moved away from Toronto, um, I actually was, like, appreciative of her talks. Not because the actual information I remembered all of it, or I knew what to do, or it was relevant to me, but because she really instilled in me that, like, women need to be independent. She always told me, "No matter what you do, make sure you have your own money." She's like, "Even if your situation is that you have to keep it a secret or give it to a friend," she's like, "Always make sure you have your own money. Whenever you're in a relationship, if you signed a lease, make sure you have money somewhere. You need to get out of there, you can get out of there." Um, like, okay, don't if you're struggling with this, that, and the other thing, don't tell your boyfriend about it because he might use that against you. She's like, "Find a female friend who's trustworthy and tell her." No, not even that. She also had some very strange thoughts about friendship. She was like, "You need a female relative. That's who you can trust with XYZ things. And nobody outside the family should know about these things. Like, you need to protect yourself." Um, I don't know. So when I was a kid, I thought it was like really extreme and like really um irrelevant. And I felt kind of like, "Do you think I'm stupid? Like, why are you telling me this?" But I think it was good because in my when I lived with my mother and father, nobody discussed dating ever. My parents never kissed in front of us. We never had the sex talk. It was like we were basically supposed to be asexuals. I mean, that's how my parents treated us. If we ever like when I was like really, really little, like in kindergarten, I remember this one time where I was like, or in first grade or something, I was like, Amy says she has a crush on Jake or some shit like this. My mom lost it. She was like, "You're too young for that. Don't talk about that. Why is anybody having crushes? What's the point of having a crush? You're too young to date." Like all this crazy shit. And so all I knew was that relationships were bad and like don't have sex and whatever. I mean, we didn't even talk about sex. We weren't allowed to say the word sex in our home, but it was like, implied. Don't fucking get pregnant like my mom did when you're young. But or every single fucking female in my family has had their first kid before the age of 21. I'm 25. I broke the mold. Huzzah. Um yeah, because of my grandmother telling me this kind of stuff, I had my grade 7 sex ed teacher, who was my religion teacher because I was in Catholic school, was this gay guy. And I'm actually so surprised that nobody like reported him or he didn't get fired or whatever. He literally told us one day in sex ed. He was like, "Girls, you're you're teenagers now or whatever." And my school was like 99% girls. I remember this class specifically. There was 3 boys in the whole class. Um he was like, "Girls, you are now in the age when you're going to start dating." He's like, "I need you to know if anything that a boy says to you at this age, the only thing he wants from you is sex. The only thing. The only thing." He was like, "Do not trust boys this age." And he was like, she was like, "Basically, until you have graduated high school or college, that is all men want from you. Do not trust them." Um, so aside from that, I knew that boys wanted sex. Um, but my grandmother gave me the perspective that like men can hurt you in a lot of ways. Men can exploit you in a lot of ways. Men can trap you. Um, yeah, I don't know. And when you look at society at large, no one is really preparing little girls for that. No one is really sitting teenagers. And have you seen the data about the rise in domestic violence among teenagers in the last couple years? Like, I really people talk about like you need to talk about consent in um in sex ed. And I'm like, okay, but like the bar is on the ground, man. Consent is not like the main issue. I mean, it might be like it's obviously an issue, but like I would say you should go so far as to teach teenagers how to assess, am I in an abusive situation, and who to contact to help yourself, and how to make a plan to get out of the situation. Um, yeah, because like it's insane to me that like in Canada at least, and I think they do a similar thing in the US. I don't know about other countries. We have like self defense in high school. So usually what it is it seems to me that there is some kind of contractors, and I think that these dudes teach like martial arts or something. Cause I remember the dudes who came into our school, like I talked to them and they were like, "Yeah, I'm this Dan, that Dan, in this martial art, that martial art." So I think they must do it as like a kind of side hustle from their main jobs. But they will come into the school for like a week, and every single day you will spend 1 hour or one period class period with this dude, and he will teach all the girls like, okay, so a guy comes up from behind you and holds you this way. This is how you get out of it. Like, okay, a guy has you on the ground in this position. This is how you get out of it. Um, and these types of things. And then on the last day, we all called him Diaper Man, and he comes like totally dressed in padding, and he actually like like attacks you so you can like defend yourself. And the purpose of this is to like so when you get in that situation, you don't panic, like you've been in this situation before, like you know what to do. And I attacked him so viciously. Everyone had their phones out and was recording. This was like right after smartphones were like readily accessible. I attacked him so viciously that after I was done, he was like, I hope that was like the worst I have to face today. And then I did it like at the end there was extra time and I was like, "Can I do it again?" And he was like, "Yeah, I guess." um but yeah, it's like why would you train like okay, what do we know about the violence that women face? The way they trained us is for stranger danger, right? Like maybe the specific like being held down in this position, that's not stranger danger. But the entire like concept was like you're in a parking garage and a guy comes up behind you. You're in the park and a guy topples you down. Like this was the position like the situation we were preparing for. We know that most violence women face is from the men that they have intimate relationships with or at least are in their family, right? Why would you bother training girls how to get out of being physically attacked and not train them to get out of a domestic violence situation when that is much more likely to happen to them than to be attacked by some random dude in a park? Explain it to me. It makes no fucking sense. Um, I email people sometimes. Is my grandmother still alive? Yeah, because my mom had me when she was 21 and my grandmother had my mom when she was 19. Like my great grandmother is 92 or 93. Um, yeah. My grandmother's only like no, no, no. My great grandmother is 83. My grandmother is like 65 and my mom is like well, I'm 25. So my mom is like 46. Yeah, all the generations in my family are really, really close. Aisha says, "I'm an atheist. During the lockdown, I started, quote, unquote, praying to my grandmothers for strength." That makes sense. That's really interesting. I like that. Um, Gigi says, "My female relatives were the opposite of that, all handmaidens." Well, that was what's weird about my grandmother, was she would talk about how horrible her first marriage was and all this stuff, but then she was like a doormat to her second husband. I guess that what the ways that he treated her like a doormat were so radically different from the first husband that she rationalized it as being completely a different situation. But, like, I have so many memories of my when I was, like, a young child of, oh, sorry, Momo wants to get out of the room. Like, my grandmother made dinner and we're all sitting down to eat at her house, and her husband, Muhammad, like, and she gets up from the table. She cooked all this food, we just sat down to eat. She gets up from the table, goes to the fridge, and gets his drink for him to refill his cup. Like, so many times, if my parents were there, like, my mom or my dad, they would say to Muhammad, like, "Oh, the fridge is just behind you. Like, can't you reach in and get it yourself? Like, don't even need to stand up from the table." And my grandmother would be like, "No, no, it's fine. I'll do it." Yeah, I'm 25. Lisa's like, "Here's a trophy for breaking the mold." Um, Honestly, I don't think there's much to be proud of, because I don't think there's anything shameful in or wrong about getting pregnant young. I just think it's like a bad situation to be in. Like, my parents got married because my mom had already had a fucking baby with my dad. Like, I was at their wedding, which I didn't know until I saw pictures. I was in like the dress I was wearing, it looked like a baptism gown. It was like some huge white thing. Like, you know how it's like 3 times as big as the baby? Oh my god. Brioni says, "My mom was equally ridiculous. She would switch the TV channels if people kissed in a soap opera," and she's like, Beansprout says, but girls are taught from a young age that if a boy picks on you in the playground, that it means he has a crush on you. We are conditioned to expect abuse and be accepting of it." Yeah, because self-sacrifice is how women demonstrate love. And so if what you're sacrificing is your body, that's still a demonstration of your love. Mhm, radical. Radical says there's so much talk about teaching consent, but rarely any discussion about how you don't even have to have sex with boys. That's totally an option too. Yes, it's very, very true. Oops, let's skip down a bit. Gigi says, "I will give my niece 'Why Does He Do That' by Lundy Bancroft when she turns 14. That seems very, like, the fuck good." Um, like, I think part of the reason that people don't talk to young girls about this is because they don't want to scare them. But it's like, what do you think is the better situation for the young girl? To have no idea and walk into this shit blindly, or to be slightly traumatized by being told about it and to like have a sense of how to avoid danger? Obviously, the latter one. She's going to be permanently psychologically scarred by knowing that huge swaths of women everywhere are being raped and beaten all the time, no matter when she learns about it. Better off telling her when she has a chance to avoid it happening to her than waiting until it happens. Cyrus isn't 2 years younger than your mom. Aisha, do you have children? Aisha says, I wanted to have babies when I was young. I really wanted to be a mom and have my own family. I just picked the wrong person to do it with. That's another thing is like, you know, there's kind of some gray area on this, but like generally, women to have like a healthy baby, you should be doing it before 35, right? And that eventually, women reach an age where it's like difficult and impossible to conceive. So there is like a clock. But it's like if you condition women that you're supposed to be a mother and a wife and have children, and she knows there's a clock, it not only limits, it's like another degree of limitation on her choice of men, right? Because now, not only is she looking for a nice guy, she's looking for a nice guy in a specific time period. And I think that makes it much more likely that you will be like, well, I need to get with the program. There's like, I forget the word, but I know in both China and Korea, they each have like a special word specifically for women who are over the age of 25 and are not married. Um, it can also be applied to women who are married but haven't had children, I think, depending on the like culture and region and stuff. Um, yeah. Cyber says I had my only abortion at 19. Well, I'm really glad that you could exercise that control over your life and you didn't get stuck with a baby like my mom did. That must have been really tough, though. I'm sorry. Oh my god, Dragon. Dragon. I get so bored with sex scenes in movies. I'll fast forward. I like talking in movies or psychological thrillers, physical comedy, but watching two plastic actors in a sex scene bores me. Okay. Um Lisa says lack of education benefits men. Exactly. That's why I want to like write some kind of long form essay um about women's knowledge of themselves and the power that gives them, and like the degree and the multitude of invisible ways in which not having that knowledge negatively impacts women. Um for this specific thing that I've been thinking about for like, oh my god, has it been over 2 years that I've had this idea percolating in my mind? Yeah. No, I think it's just under 2 years. Anyway, whatever. I was thinking of it primarily sexually, like sexual knowledge and self-awareness and self-connection and whatever. But I agree. Okay. Well, even sexually. Like, imagine I was about to set this in like some far off foreign society. No, we can do it in Canada. Imagine you are a man in Canada. You are dating a Canadian woman. This Canadian woman, like many women all over the world, doesn't know what the clitoris is and doesn't know that women can have orgasms. Now the man has to do less work in bed. She doesn't even know that she can have an orgasm. That you don't have to give one to her. She's not expecting it. a good deal for him, isn't it? Dragons, like, I love the fast forward option. I use the skip a lot. Like, whether it's like the 10 or 15-second skip, I use it like a lot. To the point where I actually don't like watching stuff on TV. I prefer doing it on my laptop or iPad because then I can like skip more quickly, more stuff. Like if you try and do it on the TV, it takes a second for like the stuff to pop up and like to click it and then it like loads and whatever. Like it's too annoying. What? Beansprout says in Denmark they throw cinnamon on you if you turn 25 years old and aren't married. But why? Toonpick says cultists call everything a cult. Very apt. Judy C says every teenager should watch Promising Young Woman should be required viewing. Interesting. Yes, Brioni, thank you for reminding me. Brioni says I've heard the translation to be leftover women. That's the term that the Chinese and I think Korean thank you, Keta. I think my cat was trying to get in and my roommate let the cat in. I didn't hear her like tapping on the door. Momo, were you just sitting there? Now she's staring at me. I didn't mean to make you angry or whatever. Well, she's not angry. She's just kind of wide-eyed. Um, but yeah, that's the term. Thank you. Radical says baffling that women ever voluntarily have sex with men. It's even more baffling to me. Like, I used to have this one friend. I think I might have mentioned her on here before. But she like hooked up with a new guy every weekend or two. Um, and every single time she was 42. So it was a bit weird for me. Not that I'm not friends with older women, but that I was friends with her and that she constantly was talking to me about this. Um, that was like a very abusive friendship that we had. She like really exploited me, like in a lot of ways. Like I did her homework for her because we were in the same program. I fed her. I don't know, whatever. But I helped her move, and then when I went to move, she wouldn't lift a single fucking box. And then she said, I buzzed my head, and everybody like kept giving me weird looks, and I was like, whatever. And then she buzzed her head, and then she was like, we can't hang out together because people will think that I'm a dyke like you. And I was like, okay, friendship over. Anyway, but she was bisexual. I mean, she said that, but I never once saw her mention being attracted to a woman or ever like she was so overtly sexual towards men and I never ever saw that towards any women. So I don't know. But not that it needs to be the same. I mean, whatever. I'm just saying. Okay. Um every weekend or every other weekend she hooked up with a new dude. And every time she'd come back to my place after so we could like watch movies and eat dinner or whatever we were doing. And she would be like, "Oh yeah, it was disappointing." And then she would go into like way too much detail. And because I was like 20 years old, I didn't really feel like telling her no or like confident to tell her no or whatever. Um, I don't know. But every single time she was like, he wouldn't do XYZ. Um, and she was like, it's like common courtesy that like you are definitely getting an orgasm, like so try at least to give me an orgasm. And every fucking she would come back to my place and be like, yeah, like he said he was in a hurry or he tried, but she was like the effort involved was like 1% and he quickly gave up and like all of this shit. And I'm like, but why? Why? Why do you keep doing it every single weekend? You tell me. It was a waste of time. Oh, he was gross, that he hadn't showered in a while, clearly. Like, all of these disgusting shit. And I'm like, "But why do you keep doing it?" I don't understand. Um, uh Gigi says, "I wanted a daughter, but I'm kinda relieved it never worked out for me. I can't imagine co-parenting with any dude." I mean, Radical says, I mean, I get it isn't great having an attraction, but you literally just oop, don't have to do any action. Like, you can literally just not." Um, yeah. Lisa said, "I'm still attracted to men, but I know how they are. It honestly kills my attraction. I fast forward in my mind to where they suck." Yeah, that's kind of how I am with queerios. It's like, even if I know that you're a homosexual, the fact that I know that's your mindset, to me, kills anything that I might be attracted to about you. So yeah, I get that. Gigi says, "Did she at least pay you for your homework?" My goodness, no, it was so bad. Like, we weren't even in the same program. I was a musician and she was a composer. And she literally came to me. And I remember this so clearly because I remember when the first ever theory exam I ever did, it had questions about transposing instruments like clarinet and bassoon and oboe and shit. And another bassoon is not a whatever. It had questions about transposing instruments. And she came to me and she said, as a composition major, "Benji, how do you transpose for clarinet in B flat?" And I was like, "Do you know what concert C means? Do you, do you understand what the B flat means in relation to concerts? Why am I explaining this to you when you are a composer? A composer." Anyway, that should have been like a huge flag to not spend time around her. But instead, I was like, "Oh no, clearly she's like passionate, but she doesn't have like the same background I have." Anyway, okay. Lisa says, "I'm also way more aware of microaggressions and cringiness, and I can't overlook it." Dr. Bean says, "Het women, including me, need to be cognizant of who men are and what they do." And I agree with Benji that we need to make an effort to inform girls about the realities. Concert F is G in clarinet, right? Yeah, I think so, for a B flat clarinet. Although, to be 100% honest with you, it's been so long since I've done any theory. Where are there no spaces in the whole tones on the piano? C and B, and that's why C to B flat is a whole tone. And so F to G. But isn't F and G where there's no black key? So then isn't it a G would be an F flat? What the fuck? My answer is I am too tired to give you an answer. And that I don't play a transposing instrument. So I like never think about that. When I was in university, my oral skills are pretty good. That's more important. Okay. Um, oh my god, do you guys know what the word oral skills? It means oral like ear. Not the other way. Okay. Like, I can listen to things and play it back and listen to things and, like, analyze the rhythms and stuff and, like, the distances between things pretty well. So, like, asking me something on, like, paper question without paper, that's, like, a different thing to me. Okay. Um, Sabrina, I wish I had a burger. Then Toon Pick is I had 2 burger earlier. Then Radical Ramblings, I also had a burger earlier. So are you all saying I should order a burger? Maybe. I will order a burger and a poutine. Seems extravagant though. I have cinnamon raisin bread. It is the only food item I have in the house that doesn't need to be cooked. I have frozen burgers, but I have no bread. I have soup, but that's boring. I don't know. I mean, you could definitely probably say I have the other kind of oral skills too, to some extent. Okay. All right. The fact that I got confused by where the black keys are on the piano, to me is a major indicator that perhaps I'm too tired to keep streaming. The elusive vulture is asking about Claire Graham. Um, Honestly, I don't care to comment on Claire Graham. Um, yeah. I haven't discussed any of the boys or boys club or TRAs calling themselves GCs at all today. I have a soapbox tomorrow. That is the time for discussing those things. Well, to some extent. Like I said, I want to that did not sound good, Benji. What? What? What didn't sound good? Um that I don't care to comment on it. I don't know. The whole situation is very volatile. I don't want to be I don't know. When I said Claire's name, oh, well, I mean, whatever. I don't know. The situation is very complex. The only thing I will say about it is it's not about identity politics, but I think it's worth keeping in mind who is and is not intersex, and that for everyone who's not intersex, it's like a theoretical problem, and for people who have DSD, um, obviously they will just have a more visceral response. This is not to excuse anything. Um, I'm just saying I think it's worth keeping in mind. I haven't seen anybody talking about that. Anyway, I don't know any of those people. Claire Graham, I actually had her on my channel. I think she was the first person I ever interviewed on my channel. Um, and the interview is great. It's about how trans activism has eroded whatever small resources intersex advocates or organizations had, and how they are eclipsing any spaces, resources, or research. I wouldn't even say me appropriating and therefore destroying any resources that people with DSDs might need. So that's good. It's a good thing to learn about, regardless of whatever is going on now. I think it's still a great interview. Yeah. Okay. Well, I will see you guys tomorrow to discuss the things that that y'all voted on about discussing tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Um, Probably okay, wait. Before y'all go, I'm always like, let's go, and then I'm like, wait, but wait. Also, don't you love how I use y'all, even though I'm like from fucking Canada? It's because of the internet. Like I started using y'all on Twitter because Twitter characters, like it's less characters. When was that? 2018? Which what was in 2018? Ooh, binaural beats for sleep. Oh, interesting. I did a study. I participated in a study about binaural beats. Actually by my roommate when she was in her masters. Um, to do with like practice efficacy. Radical. Have you tried to watch Winona Earp if you're from cowboy country? Um, because I wonder if somebody from Alberta would watch that and be like, every single thing in this is Albertan, except for the accents of the Americans. Or if it's like very obviously like America that is happening in Alberta. You know what I mean? Okay, so a note on anger. So this is from page 95 to 110. Okay. So some reflections on separatism and power is only 15 pages long. How long did it take for me to read the 15 pages? That was didn't I already do this like 2 hours ago? This checking how long the chapter is? Okay. And that took me 25 minutes. Okay. So, Aisha says binaural beats are like drugs. I know, it's crazy. Um well, it's kind of a good show. I don't know. It's kind of like it has very supernatural vibes, except it's like quite gynocentric. That's nice. Um great. So, the next essay is some notes on separatism and wait. Separatism and what? Some reflections on separatism and power. I'm probably going to read it on Monday night. Okay, wait 1 second. So there was a day this week. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I have like my 2 jobs on the same day. And so on those days, I've been trying to not schedule any live streams in the time that I'm not working because I'm like you spending a lot of time at work today. If you're not at work, you should be resting. But there was one day last week where I was like, I have like 4 hours in between my one job and my other job. I should have booked to do one of my readings because I wanted to do it, but then I was like, if I do it now without any warning, then everybody will miss it. So why did I open my phone? Oh yeah, my schedule. Yeah. Night, Gigi. Like Thursday is a great example. I'm gonna be home from my first job at like, oh hello Tossstones. Um, okay, even though Tossstones just got here and that makes me want to stay, I need to end this soon because remember, literally when I started this, I was like, my essay discussion videos should never be more than 90 minutes long, and it is now about to be 3 hours. Okay. But like on Thursday, I'm gonna be home from work at like 10:15 in the morning, and then my next job, I don't need to leave the house until 3 p.m. So it's like 5 hours. So I should schedule a reading on that Thursday. Yeah. Anyway. They're like, oh my god, Benji, go to bed. Well, I've only been working for like less than 12 hours today. Yeah, if you count the driving and stuff. Like kind of count this as work now. Um, that's not even that crazy. It's fine. Get some rest. Okay, okay, okay. I mean, you guys know the guys who show up all the time. You said that like 12 hours is normal. Well, I used to. One of my. Yeah. Well, I used to work like 60 hours a week, and now I only work like 45, 50 hours a week. And then I used to have a job where I worked 12-hour overnights in a styrofoam factory. And oh my god, literally the worst part of that job, aside from 12-hour shifts overnight, was um I I was so careful when I bought my steel toe boots. I spent 90 minutes in the store. I tried on every single steel-toed boot they had in my size. I was like, I'm going to get a comfortable, reliable pair of shoes. I'm going to spend a good amount of money. They're going to last me a long fucking time. Do you know what the fuck happened with my steel-toe boots? Within like a week of working there, the steel part somehow with the way I broke them in, like started like cutting the side of my foot. And like it's steel. So I kept adding like band-aids on my foot, like moleskin inside, like foam inside, and it's like it just kept cutting through it eventually. Like I was so fucking pissed off. I literally there was like two shifts at that job where I started crying, which it's very loud and you're far away from everyone at your machine, so nobody noticed. But I literally was in tears because my feet hurt because this stupid fucking thing was like cutting my foot. Anyway, it was fine. I don't work there anymore. But that was brutal, man. But it's kind of like how I used to live in Manitoba, where it's like -30, -40 for like 1 or 2 months of the winter. And so now in Ontario, I'm like everything is very chill because everything is warm. Having done that job where I worked 12-hour overnight shifts, I was like, anything I do now seems easy. uh It was such good money, though. I really didn't appreciate at the time how good the money was. Like, I just wish I would have saved it better. But at that point, I had been unemployed for so long, I was just paying off debt. But I think I was making like it was something insane. Like I think I was making like 860 a week or something at that job. Mary's like, you are broken now. um, Dragon. But Dragon, don't you have any THC products that will help you sleep? That sucks, bro. Okay, I am for real going to end this stream. It is now exactly 10 p.m. Seems like the perfect time. Thank you very much for all the sisters who tuned in. I will be doing my soapbox tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, which is 5 p.m. in the UK, or 9 a.m. if you're in like California or BC. Okay. Yes, I'm going. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay? Bye. No, thank you guys. If you weren't here, it would just be me talking to a camera.